Willkommen, schönen Abend, meine Damen und Herren, willkommen in der Galerie Lumina. Uns gibt es seit einem Jahr hier mitten im 7. Bezirk und mit dem Schwerpunkt analoge Fotografie. Wir präsentieren heute zwei sehr interessante Fotografen, nämlich Philip Lawrence und Anne Goldman.
Okay, I'd like to say thank you for everybody for coming. It's very exciting for me, and it's very nice to see my photos on the wall. So thank you for coming.
Hello, good evening. I wanted to thank everyone for coming, and I can't mention everyone's names, so I just wanted to thank my family, my parents, and my brother. Unfortunately, my aunt couldn't be here, but still I'd like this opportunity to thank her. They all played a huge role in my art, and of course my life. Thanks.
Okay, so Rani, tell us about your photographic approach.
I can say I've been with the camera since I remember myself, a child maybe, and I was always curious that looking at people through the lens. Many years I've been a traveler. I mean, traveling around the world. I can't say I have a regular base. Many years in India and Africa. Nepal, Tibet, South America. One of the things I like most is looking at people and the culture through the lens. Maybe it's a way that's a meeting place, especially with children. My approach is a visitor. When I take a photo, I don't ask for a photo. I don't. Either I go from far away and take the photos, or I take without the person paying attention. And that's the most natural photos.
But the people in your photographs seem to be very aware of you. So would you say that you got implicit permission by eye contact?
Well, with children it's different. When I take off adults, especially in third world countries, they don't like photos. They believe in some places like in Central South America that it takes their souls, and that it steals their souls. So you cannot, if you want naturally, you cannot take a photo from close. But with children it's different. With children it's like a game. It's a way to contact them. Especially now it's different with the slides. I couldn't show them the pictures like this one in Peru. But nowadays it's very easy. It's like taking a picture and then showing them. And then it's a way of interacting and getting to know them. It's a way of breaking the barrier of language and culture. And for me, photography is the way of connecting also. And then always I get invited to houses and learn more about the people. So many times through the children, I get invited and get welcomed.
Thank you very much. Philip, would you like to tell us about your photographic approach?
Hi, yes. Well, these portraits here, I've started taking them really because I knew all these people very well, and they're either family or children of close friends. And I saw pictures that were taken of them, and I was very disappointed by them because I knew them personally, and I found that they had so much more personality and expressions in their face, and I felt that they didn't do justice. And in my portraits of children, I try an attempt to capture the psyche of the soul of the one sitting. And they're very influenced by three things. They're influenced by the Victorian age of photography, and because there was an age in photography, at least, where they gave a lot of attention to children, and in the pictures they take them very seriously. They look very dignified, they look very thoughtful. And then I was also influenced by the different reading that I did of psychology, where the child is discussed about how strong the influence that a child, in the time of a childhood, what a strong impact it has in his later life, and the connection always fascinated me between childhood and later life, because it's not like with two people, it's all were children, and this connection interested me a lot, and so I was influenced by that. And then the influence also comes from the paintings of the royal families, of children of kings and queens, because there too they're taken very seriously. They're in that case in their dress, but that didn't interest me as much. But it also captured very strongly their expression and their dignity in them. Even though they were children, they weren't treated as children in these photographs.
Thanks very much. I have a few more questions for the photographers, but first I would like to briefly interrupt this interview and give the children present today the opportunity to also ask questions. Liebe Kinder, ich möchte euch die Gelegenheit geben, jetzt selber Fragen an die Fotografen zu stellen. Ja? Wie gefallen euch die Bilder? Was denkt ihr euch dabei? Ja? Wollt ihr mal, wer möchte anfangen? Ihr seid aber sehr schüchtern. Gut, then we will continue. So, Rani, you photographed in so many different countries. Could you maybe tell us about the countries that you photographed in, especially with the pictures that are here today?
South and Central America, Tibet, India, Ethiopia. That's the pictures that are here. And of course in Israel and other countries. And just want to say something about the approach, also about the way that pictures were hung. As I saw today. When I come to take a picture, or when I come to speak with children, and I think that's something basic to how we interact with children, and not only for the exhibition, I'm saying it for, usually adults come and speak from above, and it makes a barrier. When we speak to them, and I like working with children as well, at the same height, it breaks the barrier. And that's why I try also in the photos. It doesn't matter which country or which culture it's working.
Yes, and this is also the reason I decided that we would hang all the photos at the children's eye level. So, how about you? What countries have you photographed in? And do you also? I think your photographs also show that you get down to children's eye level. So both of you show very deep respect for the subjects that you photograph. Tell us, what countries did your photographs occur in?
countries are America, USA, and Israel and Vienna. And but I don't think it plays such a big role in the pictures because the portraits are really of the personality, the soul, the psyche of the children. It's also about childhood, the intensity of childhood, growing up, the process of it. And so I don't think they play a big role. And another thing which is interesting is that although they're all Jewish children, I don't think it's not these typical Jewish pictures, I mean paintings especially, where it's very stereotypical. They happen to be Jews, but it's about the psyche, so I think it doesn't really matter that they're Jewish. I think they would be the same if they weren't Jewish.
Thanks. Now, to finish off with the final question, what projects are you planning in the future?
Well, it's been I would be happy to, in the last 2, 3, 4 years I've been a lot through communities. And I have this ambitious idea to go with a van around communities in Europe, in Asia, and see the culture, even local alternative communities, and take photos of them. I've been doing it in Israel and in Spain in the last year, and I hope to do it all around the world, just to go from community to community, stay a while there, get to know the people, and from that, from place of knowing, to take the photos, to show that there is a different way of living that is possible.
When you see a different way of living, in brief, how would you define that?
Alternative way of living. I've been living 3 years in an alternative kibbutz in Israel. I was living in communities in Spain, and in the desert. Yeah, I've been many years living in the desert in Israel, and I think there is a different way of living that we can live in, not only in a city, and living more in nature, and more to know the people that you live with, not with the borders.
What sites will you turn to in your future projects?
I started already taking pictures of artists, and I think there's also a connection between artists and children, because I find that they both have to be they're both very honest about their emotions, and I think a true artist doesn't put up a show of the way he feels. I think it's very raw emotions they both have.
Okay, thank you. Now, would the audience like to ask any questions? Möchte jemand aus dem Publikum eine Frage stellen?
I would like to ask you, how did you earn your living while traveling and photographing old children? Because you have to buy film material and something to eat. Although you are quite thin, so.
Well, I'm vegan, so it's spending less money on food. And earning living. I used to be a tourist guide and trekking guide in Israel. So I used to come back to Israel, guide a bit and travel. And in the last year and a half, 2 years, I've been living in communities. So I've been working as a handyman or whatever needed in the community. sometimes volunteering, sometimes earning money, and continuing traveling like that. When you live simple, you don't need a lot. That's the way so far it's been taking me.
Noch jemand?
The title of the exhibition is Verstörend and Betörend. So this is what you can see, but my question is, why did you do it? Why did you think you have to show children in this sad expression?
Actually, I think I should answer that because I'm responsible for the choice and the presentation of these pictures. So the title of the exhibition is actually Blick in das Kind, gaze into the child, because the very, very intense nature of these photographs and the fact that the eyes play a very important role in both Rani's and Philip's photographs made me want to give the exhibition a title that has to do with vision, with gaze. And I think the eyes, I mean, it may be a cliche, but the eyes really tell us more about a person and a person's feeling than any other part of the body, in my opinion.
I want to answer you as well. I think that from traveling and from living also in a country, growing up in a country of conflict, and volunteering with Palestinians and getting to know the Palestinians, and being as a soldier also in Gaza, one thing I learned, that wherever you go in the world, when you look at people's eyes, when you get to know them, they have the same ambition and they want the same thing in life. They want, to live. And I think that's something that I take a lot of portraits, mostly portraits. And that's the way to show a culture and to show that everybody is the same, doesn't matter which color, what height, whatever. And if you look around the photos, you see the smile inside, you see the light in the eyes. Doesn't matter even there's one photo that for me it's a bit sad that it's inside.
Let's say goodbye to Hermes. Goodbye, Hermes. Ja, danke, dass du, der Fahrtendienst ist da. Danke, dass du gekommen bist, Hermes.
It's really interesting to see that it's a people of Allah.
Goodbye, Hermes.
Okay, I just will answer the last sentence about one of the photos here. When there is a half-blind kid from Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, you have 5% of the population is blind. From cataract. But they smile. They live their life. They fulfill their life. They're part of the society. They're not outcast from the society. And if you look at the kid, he's smiling. I think that's something that, for me, is very touching around the world.
One last question, eine letzte Frage. Dann sage ich vielen Dank fürs Kommen und vielen Dank an die zwei Fotografen und ich lade euch ein, kurz noch einen Drink an der Bar zu nehmen.
And I would like to thank Ronnie, both of us, I think, for achieving this and helping me do this exhibition. So thank you very much.
Just like to thank Ronnie too.